What's up, Brandon Smitley here, BrandonSmitley.com and EliteFTS.com. I got a question the other day on Facebook from one of the pre-barbell lifters I help with. He's running a program that he found that was free online. I'm not going to disclose the website or the author of the said program, but he was asking me why specifically his bench press wasn't moving. So he was seeing decent improvements with his squat and deadlift, but his bench press was going nowhere. Well, I of course explained that as long as you're seeing positive momentum as your total as a whole, so if your bench press can stay relatively the same and your squat and deadlift are rising, your total is still rising. So you're still improving in the big picture, and that's what's important. But he wanted me to try to take a look at bench press wise, especially from a programming standpoint, why he wasn't improving. So I just told him, send me this free program that you got, and I'll take a look at it and see if I can see like any glaring issues in said program. And so I looked some things over. I mean, the squatting and deadlifting had a decently high frequency, high volume approach, and this is a beginner lifter, maybe moving into intermediate, but as of right now I'm going to classify him as a beginner because I don't think he's been lifting that much, even though his numbers are somewhat decent. And same thing with the bench press. There was a little bit more frequency and volume, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing against frequency and higher volume. It's just implementing it the right way, the right time for the right lifter. I believe you should do the minimum effective dose you need to get better. So if you can do each lift once a week and get better, do each lift once a week and get better. If you need to bench twice a week to get better, benching the bench twice a week, etc., etc. So I don't think that what he was doing was effective enough for what he was trying to do. Like I said, it was helping his squatting and deadlifting, but his bench press wasn't going anywhere. So the analogy I used was, when you're 16, your parents are more likely going to buy you a Dodge Neon or a Pontiac Sunfire or some 4-cylinder car that's going to get you to your minimum wage job into school after you're 16. They're not going to buy you a $60,000 Mercedes-Benz to drive 10 miles down the road to go to school and go work your 7 1/4 job. So you need to use the minimum effective thing to get to what you want to do. Now, my big issue with this was, I said, well, what are you doing? What's your assistance work like? Because he only sent me the main work for the squat, the bench press, and deadlift. He's like, well, that's mainly all I do, and then I've got an assistance day, and I'm supposed to pick 3 exercises and do a couple sets, and that's it. To me, that was the glaring issue in the program. Nothing against the numbers or the frequency or the volume of the actual lifts. I'm not going to argue against that because apparently he was seeing results. But he was like, I'm having elbow pain, and I don't really know what to do on my assistance work, and it wasn't really listed as what I should do. It just said maybe do some back work, some hamstring work. I can tell you right now, if you're going to be bench pressing twice a week and you're only going to have 3 to 4 exercises to use for your accessory work on that accessory day, your back is probably going to be one of the things that's holding you back. And he's like, I wasn't really doing any tricep work. Well, that could be why your bench press wasn't going anywhere. Sure, you're getting some good bar reps, but your triceps aren't getting any stronger because the weakest part of your press is going to be off the chest, and you're focusing on that area mainly whenever you're bench pressing because you're working through that mini-max, is what Dave Tate and Louis would call it. So that was the thing that I called out, and it made me realize that if you're going to run a free program from somebody, check their credentials and what they do. There's a lot of people that are running websites, YouTube videos, training logs, and all sorts of stuff. While I think they have great intentions, I'm not sure their credentials hold up enough to give them the validity to do so. Now, that's the problem with our industry, is that anybody can go sit and take a personal training exam and pass, and all of a sudden they claim themselves to be the Holy Grail because they've got a six-pack, or they compete drug-free and natty. I think some people look up to that, and that's great. I admire everything about drug-free lifters as being a drug-free lifter myself. But I think that using that as your platform to get your information isn't always the best idea. Now, there are amazing people that do this. A couple examples would be Matt and Julie Ladusky. Matt is not an exercise science guy, but I can tell you right now, if he wrote a program, I would follow it, and it would be very, very well laid out and detailed, and it would cover the minuscule things like that tricep issue. Julia works with a handful of clients. We've also got people like Clint Darden, who does a great job working with a vast array of people, and he's on a completely different area of the world. And then you got notorious people like Josh Bryant and people of those natures. So those guys are some of the top online coaches because of the amount of time they spend actually looking at the program, looking at the weaknesses of the client, and assessing that. But if you get a free program from somebody that probably has never trained anybody, hasn't had to gone through too many struggles, they may not be your best reference. They may be an intermediate lifter like yourself, or moving to more of an advanced lifter, and that helps because it's more of a relatable issue. But I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go around getting a program. There's a reason why people pay for online coaching is because of the higher quality. Now, with this Purdue barbell lifter, he's eventually going to be running my programming, but I told him to go ahead and finish out the program. He had what he had left. He's got like 3 or 4 weeks, so go ahead and run it out, and then that way I can kind of see where you end up, because I think there's a test day towards the end. So it's going to give me some feedback, so he can handle over 90% weights, to help get him moving in the right direction and picking the right template, because I don't work with those lifters on an individual program per person. There's just way too many lifters, and quite honestly, they're college students, so that's why I give this service. I give them options of templates to use. I coach and give them feedback on their videos, the programs. We can make some tweaks here and there, go help them at meets and that kind of stuff. But seeing all the increase in online coaches is a good thing and a bad thing. You just got to kind of be able to sift through the BS and decide which coach is right for you. Some people may think that I'm a really good online coach, and some people might think I'm absolutely terrible. It's all depending upon what they're trying to get out of the online coach. I may give someone may get PRs off my programming, and somebody may not get PRs off my programming. It's just a very individualistic standpoint, and it's part of learning your client. That's why I try to email my clients at least once a week. Usually it's much more, and try to check in and see how things are going, and we can manipulate things as they need to, whether they're sick, they're on vacation, this exercise isn't working, I'm going to be at a different gym for the day, how can I sub this exercise? Little things like that are what take online coaching from having a good service to a great service. So I would say if you're online and you're looking for some free online programs, you need to be very cautious with what you pick. There's reasons why many of the top lifters and coaches make ebooks. They understand that not everyone can afford online programming and coaching. So in return, they take their time, they put their methods, they put it into a book. Hopefully it's very well laid out, good pictures, attention to detail. And then the price, therefore, can come down because the volume is going to increase of sales. So if you're in doubt, find a good online ebook to download, pay for, and run that programming. It's been very common lately to see that kind of popping up. Many different books and systems to actually implement and purchase and use. And the good thing is a lot of them are actually very open on social media. So if you actually buy their product and say, hey, I'm running your program, I'm not understanding this part, can you give me a little bit of help? Chances are, if you're a paying customer, they're probably going to answer your question and try to help you. Because basically what happens is if they don't do that, one, their reputation hurts. Two, they're not helping someone run their programming. So if you're running my programming and I help you get more PRs, that makes me look better from a communication standpoint, and then also as a revenue standpoint of trying to sell more books if I had a book. So a lot of different things to think about when it comes to online programming and coaching. You gotta sift through the BS. I'm not saying credentials and degrees are everything, but it's a good foundation. But then experience is also another good foundation. So I feel like trying to find someone with a good blend of that. But overall, experience is going to trump everything. So if your person has no credentials and minimal experience, you need to kind of take a step back and say, there's got to be somebody better that I should probably focus on now. And then maybe in a few years, as that person grows, then you can take that step. Now I understand everyone has to start somewhere. I haven't been in this long, but I've definitely taken my time through education, and my time under the bar, which with powerlifting hasn't been anything compared to a lot of these people, but I've also spent, over 4 years bodybuilding, and I've done Olympic weightlifting, so I've put myself in different positions to get different experiences under the bar in different ways. The only good thing that happened was I was a no-name bodybuilder and very minimal low level, had no idea what I was doing really, but I learned a lot about myself, how the body adapted, about programming, because I had to teach myself. But a good thing was I built a base, so when I came to powerlifting, it took off because I had such a high base. I was already strong before I ever stepped foot on the platform because I took the 5, 6, 7 years of that ridiculous training and just got better and worked hard. So I think if you're going to go down the road of an online coach, I would make sure you kind of get what you pay for, number one. So if they're incredibly expensive, chances are the individualistic standpoint that you get with that coach is going to be higher. If you pay a very low rate, chances are they're probably going to shoot your program. You might hear from them once or twice, and that's it. And as you get to know that coach better, things tend to work better. So my second recommendation would be, after you get a coach, ask as many questions as you possibly can. You're paying for a service. That's part of the service. If the coach doesn't do that, that's a disservice as a coach to the online client. I've seen and heard about that from other people where they just can't get in touch with their coach. I give all my clients my email, my phone number. They have my social media stuff if they need to do that. People mail me things. So I think that there's a different aurora about coaching that's kind of happening. A lot of people are thinking they can just do it and send a program and go. Now, if you run a online service to where that's all you do is you make a program and you have it set and it's basically built for anybody and you're just going to send it, that rate needs to be drastically lower. It needs to be upfront and said, hey, I'm going to shoot you a program. There's no actual coaching. It's just the programming. I think that's a completely different service in and of itself. Besides the fact that with the online programming and coaching, the programming is very specific and individualistic for the client, and then there's also a coaching aspect, which is the interaction, looking at videos and breaking things down, especially if your client is going to go on and do powerlifting meets or whatever, then it becomes very meet specific and very, very goal oriented to get you on the platform at your best level. When you're working with different clients for, say, fat loss, you've got goals, but at the same time, you're not looking at a performance standpoint to where peaking is all that important. When it comes to nutrition and fat loss, it's keeping the client on track, on base, and keeping them motivated and moving in the right direction. So if you're going to get an online program, do your research, find out who's going to work best, and if you have any idea or no idea of who to contact, look through the Elite FTS Q&A, all the coaches, people. There's tons of services within that alone. Best of luck with online programming and coaching, no matter who you pick up. Just keep those things in mind, that if you're getting coaching, it needs to be individualistic. If you're looking for programming, it's probably going to be something lumped, and if it's free, probably not going to be as good as if it is something that's paid.